Yeah. Yeah, the thing that we become aware of as we move into the space of true nature is that what is in truth is awareness, without which we wouldn't we wouldn't have anything, right? If you're not aware of this, then it doesn't exist. So awareness is fundamental, and that's the nature of who we are. When we create that I'm not good enough, or I don't matter, or whatever our conclusion from our woundedness is, when we create that, it has to arise in awareness. We are already awareness. That's our nature. I am that. Uh, the reason that that's so powerful and important is that everything that shows up in awareness comes to pass. It has no legitimacy. It has no life of its own. It depends on its life by showing up in our awareness. And as we start to understand that we are availing the most important thing that we are and that we have to things that we don't want, like I'm not good enough, or I don't matter, or this is a shitty mess in this world, or whatever. When we start to understand that we're feeding what we don't want, because where it lands within our awareness is our awareness. It takes up room there. It takes away from the awareness of true nature. Awareness is true nature. When we create something, it's a creation within the awareness. And so this is like, this is the ultimate teaching of the mystery schools that we know about from ancient times, is this understanding. The, uh, the way in which we decide something and then attach to it, this is, I think of it as the cosmic joke. It's not funny, but it's important. When we attach to a belief about ourselves, that's the information into awareness, and an aspect of awareness, the one I am, is the quantum field. And so now we are inputting into the quantum field the lowest kind of conclusion about ourselves, about reality, about others, and then it shows up as our world. So, if I had a category for what I just described, it would be called the cosmic joke. It's like, really, that's the way it works? Yeah. But all of us in this room who've been meditators, who have been on a path of waking up to our true nature, and the true nature that we are is awareness. It's not, I'm good at math and I'm not good at English or whatever. It's not that. Those are attributes we express through the body mind unit. I think of it as being an avatar. We express through the body mind unit and use this body mind in this particular incarnational 3D experience. We use it to participate in an external reality. The external reality that's showing up for each one of us is different. Not one of us in this room or on Zoom are seeing the same reality. Even if it's just a perspective, right? I can't see any of it, but I could see for this width, right? Or for this. But so that's an indicator to us that none of us is in the same reality. And that's an indicator to us that each of us is participating in what that reality looks like to us. The work that we do and the kind of tool that we use in here, most of you know about or familiar with. It's called the 6 Steps to Freedom process. And what does everybody in here know about it?
No.
Mhm. So this is the first step. This comes from a teacher named Dietrich Walsack, who generated it or created it out of his study of A Course in Miracles. He took over the Attitudinal Healing Center from Jerry Jampolsky in Vancouver, British Columbia, I should say. Anyway, the first step is to use a trigger. I'm triggered to see what it is that creates reactivity in me, what it is that creates discomfort in me. and when something does, to note that that is a trigger. The second step is to understand, because this is the understanding that brings you into the possibility of clearing what's obscuring your freedom into your true nature. And that second step is the acknowledgement that this experience is about me. It can be a high bar, because we're already believing we're triggered by somebody or something out there, right? But the second step is just to, for me, it's like a little pointer, the reminder that this is about me. The third step is to begin to identify the feelings. What is it feeling like? Is that right?
Yeah.
I do this so much that I can't remember. The third step is, what does that feel like? I feel hurt. I feel sad. I feel I'm treated unkindly. The fourth step is to using that feeling component. How am I feeling? The contraction, the sadness, whatever it is, using that to recall, allow a memory of that same feeling to come up. The reason we're triggered is because we're being reminded energetically of something that we concluded when we were a child. So with the fourth step, we're remembering what that was. Mommy didn't pick me up from kindergarten on time. I believed that nobody cared about me. Whatever it is, the fourth step is to bring forth a memory of the earliest time that you can recall. Sometimes it's not really early. But any time in the past when you had the same feeling experience. The fifth step is from that feeling experience, say that that was the incident. Mommy didn't pick me up from school on time, and I'd never been to kindergarten before, and I felt all alone and scared. That was the experience then. When I had that experience, I concluded that it meant something about me. I must not be good enough, or I'm all alone. Nobody loves me. All of these things get energetically constellated in the consciousness of the child. And that's what happened to everybody incarnating into this 3D reality. And there are a lot of why questions that come up. But one of the obvious things is that when we're born into this 3D reality, we're totally dependent. And so the external reality, we can sort of notice with newborns and with young babies when they start to, their attention particles go out and they're looking for mommy or looking for the bottle or looking for the sibling. So the fifth step is what did I conclude it meant about me when that happened? I'm not good enough. I don't matter. There are these categories, but for each one of us, the specificity of that experience is very, very impacting. It's like we conclude that, we immediately repress it because it's untenable to us that I don't matter, or that I'm not loved, or I'm not wanted. And so that is the function of repression. From anything that gets repressed into the subconscious is going to be projected. And the way the projection works in the model that we teach here, the way that the projection works is that it creates a distortion pattern in the lenses of how we perceive reality. So now I have lenses that I'm perceiving reality through, and the information that goes along with everything I see is I don't matter. Is everybody getting this? I think of it as a cosmic joke, but it's like, really? So now I'm stuck with that, right? Well, when we're doing this work, when we use an experience to get to what we installed, the limiting belief that we had about ourselves, we're moving into the arena of awareness, becoming aware of that, and the light of that awareness on that is the dispelling of it. when we shine the light of awareness on that incident, when you didn't get picked up from school in time, and you concluded you were fearful, and you installed that, you've probably had who knows how many incidences of that same experience of not mattering, right? And then you typically, what we do is we blame it on somebody else or ourselves, but there's some blame there. Something should be different, right? But the reality is that when we start to see how this all operates, what I call it the kindergarten model of the way reality works. When we see that and we shine the light on it, then it starts to be dispelled. We see the brightness. You know how a light can be so bright that whatever it's shining on dissolves, right? It's just disappears. And I also, the sixth step is I forgive myself for ever having believed that I don't matter. That is like the light that is the dispelling light on that conclusion that was never true. So this is the 6 steps to freedom. I went over it because it's the process we use in the Sangha for the awakening process. Because without this distortion lens through which you see reality, and we'll go into the next aspect of the cosmic joke in a minute, but without that distortion lens through which you see reality, then you're just present doing what's in front of you to do. And what's in front of you to do, or what people are saying or bringing to you, doesn't mean anything about you. It meant something about the me that was created by the one that believes he or she doesn't matter. But it doesn't mean anything about you and the truth of who you are. The radical and second part of the story is it comes from the incorporation of the quantum understanding of the nature of reality. And that is, as we see anything, and now, in this example I'm using, we're seeing through the distortion lens of I don't matter. As viewed, so appears. The way that we see anything is the information into the quantum field that then shows up as this reality. This is making sense to everybody?
Yeah.
It's not fun, but it's interesting, isn't it? It's like, really, can I go to a different way that reality works? And so the part that we play in having our world show up the way it shows up is exactly what I just described. Are there any questions or things that didn't make sense that I might have pointed to that I didn't explain? I can't see hands, so you just have to say, hey, Polly. Anybody online?
Everybody online is first in the 6 steps.
Okay. Yeah, so this process can be available. We have a cheat sheet of it. It's also available through Diederik's book, his biography called Choose Again, which is available on Amazon. So we have a world that's informed and then expresses exactly what we are believing about ourselves, because that creates, this is a perceptual reality that creates the way in which we see reality. Byron Katie tells a story that sort of points to this, but she tells a story about walking into a restroom at a McDonald's, and this really lovely lady was washing her hands, and they started talking, and they had this great connection. And then Katie went into the stall to go pee, and she sat down on the stool, and it was all wet, and she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she was such a nice lady. I can't believe she peed all over the seat here. That just doesn't make any sense to me." But she finished doing her business, and she got up and she flushed the toilet, and the water sprayed up. So we are in that kind of mirrored identity expression, right? We see somebody we think we know, and we wave at them, and they don't wave back. And we have a whole story about ourselves if we're seeing through the lens of I don't matter, yeah. Yeah, so this is, this technology I found to be the most direct and the most helpful in clearing out what keeps us from the experience of our true nature, which is what we call the awakened state. And I think it's up collectively, mainly because of technology and for people like all of us in this room who are sensing that there's something more satisfying, more uh, of more value and more worth to us than the external interactions between that typically are based in polarity. The wound that we come up with, because it's based in polarity, can be confusing to us because we may very well have the good end of the stick of like, I'm the best that ever happened. The other end, I'm not good enough, right? Or I don't matter. And so we can have experiences. The tell on that is that a sense underneath that it's not going to last. Anybody in here ever had that experience? Like everything is so good, you're like, oh, this can't last. Yeah, so the polarity holds us. The diagram, the geometric diagram that I use to point to what the move out of the polarity that's based in fear. This is the garden story, basically. We were kicked out of the garden because we believed that we were bad, that we didn't deserve our connection with, in the garden story case, God. So now we're outside the garden. The garden implied that we were connected to everything, but that we were not caught in a mind that was believing in right and wrong. So when we are at the baseline of the polarity, the good end of the stick, the bad end of the stick, and we've picked the stick up by choosing one or the other, then we are outside the garden. We're caught in our rational analytic mind, and we're going to try to figure it out. And typically, because it is a projection, the way we'll figure it out is like Katie did. It was her fault. It's what she did. She peed all over the seat. Right? So we are caught in this something of a dilemma. The fall was I always say that the fall was the first and the archaic version of AI. We fell out of our hearts and into our minds. The frequency of the heart is a connection, and it's not polarized, right? It's the field of allowing. And so that's where we lived when we were in what we call the garden state. Outside of that, we're caught in, I'm good enough or I'm not good enough. I'm bad, I'm good, all of the polarized conclusions. Those are also underpinned by fear, because when we were not in our minds, but in our hearts, we had the experience of our connection with God, with all that is, with awareness. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to go in any direction. It doesn't have to be based in what I've shared today. The reason I went over the 6 steps is because we have some new people. I think that everybody benefits from knowing about the 6 steps. It gives us a chance to realize that when we're triggered, that's an opportunity. It's access to seeing what we've been believing that's not true and that has been informing our experience. So it's a big deal. What we've believed about ourselves is a big deal. It's what people point to as the shadow, right?
Again,
The shadow.
shut up.
Yeah, what we believe about ourselves from the woundedness, I'm not good enough, that generates the shadow that we keep repressing, but that keeps showing up in our world, right?
So any questions, thoughts, anything's churning that wants to be named, or any issue that you'd like to try out with Polly while she's here, while you're here? Okay, Morgana.
Hi, Morgana.
Hi, aloha, Pali.
Hi,
And
sweet.
so I want to understand. So basically, the stick is basically if you see a situation as being positive or negative, correct?
the stick is gonna be the polarity, right? That you, and that would represent the stick, the way that you see something is good, it implies the other end of the stick, right? But in what way are you asking the question? I think I need more information.
I think I'm just trying to understand the 6 steps to freedom. I understand.
Okay,
The only thing I can see about the stick is if you have a situation, if you're either looking at it as it's a good thing or a bad thing, or
right. Well, what happened with what we point to as the fall, just as a way to talk about it, is that we fell into the polarized rational analytic mind, which posits everything as good or bad, right?
right, duality.
Yeah, the duality, that's right. And that's why now that's not the nature of reality. The nature of reality is more described as the quantum field, which is like the field of allowing. I think of that as being our hearts, our true nature as our heart. And there may be 3 possibilities or a dozen or whatever. But in our minds have been caught in this rational analytic dynamic of believing what we think, and it's right or wrong, good or bad, like you're saying, and then we're caught there, right? So the reason that that doesn't work is because it's not the nature of reality. We have imposed through our own limitation and our own fear-based concerns, we've imposed on reality polarity. And then we're caught by that polarity. So that if we see that stick that you're pointing to as the baseline of a triangle, the apex of the triangle is the freedom from polarity, right? I always think that we're perched on the apex of the triangle, about to take flight into the field of allowing, right? And that's where freedom is actually, right? Because the true heart has no questions, and then the mind, the rational analytic fear-based mind, has no answers. So we're typically turning to the mind because that's where we've been conditioned to believe that that's where the answer is, right? The interesting thing about getting free from all this is that wisdom arises, right? And everybody in here and on the call has had the experience of not knowing, and then it's like an inspiration, or the wisdom shows up, and that doesn't come from the rational analytic mind. Wisdom is not an aspect of the rational analytic mind.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morgana. So glad you're here.
Anyone else on Zoom or in the room? Anything want to be named or asked? Yeah.
Said, oh, I'm sorry.
Is that Francis?
When you say duality,
Uh-huh.
you're indicating a sort of left-right plane.
Right.
Yeah. Good, bad, bad, bad. My experience is that, and my goal is an essence of being that exists within whatever I am, to the exclusion, not exclusion, but the exception of everything else. And when I am as close as I ever get to that, there's a natural, that the nature of that essence of being is outflow. It's an eternal spring that has no dimension. In other words, there's no inside of it, but everything comes out. Right? It's really cool.
Really cool.
Except it's cosmologically way far away, because it is indescribably innocent. It doesn't measure, just gives. Light, love, life, everything comes out of that. The moment I step out the door, or the moment I turn away from, looking in, and okay, everything's good. The moment I turn out, there is attack.
Mm.
So it's not good, bad. There's attack. Carol Mace was saying, the moment you step out your door, you're attacked. You perceive attack on any, however subtle level. Or you do something stupid to attack, and then so, and that appears to be the nature of this world.
Seems so.
If I could hazard a guess,
Yeah.
I will stand correction. Once I acknowledge, once I buy into the concept of attack, a whole arsenal presents itself. And I'm locked into that energetic, and it takes forever just to back off of, physically present, whatever, to just be. I kind of missed all the topics of your 6 points. Hopefully there was something in there. But does that have anything to do with what you're talking about?
What you just shared?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good description.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The idea that it's far away is not true.
No.
That's right.
That's
That and what you
and the attack is it's all an illusion,
that's-
albeit a very persistent.
That's right. Philip K. Dick said it's a strange reality. It's stranger than it's stranger. It's a strange reality. It's stranger than you can think. Right. The the idea of being vulnerable, like what you talk about, is stepping outside the door. The door that we need to not step outside of ever is the door of that artesian well that you describe, the overflowing true nature of who we are. Knowing ourselves as that, then if we step out, we don't step outside that door. We can step outside the 3D doors and be in presence with anything. So it's a concept of who I am. Who is it that's stepping outside, and what door are we stepping outside of? Because what you're pointing to is that you have access to your true nature as this overflowing artesian well. I call it the field of allowing. We can call it the heart of whatever it is. It's not based in polarity, right and wrong, good and bad. It's not. And in that spaciousness, possibilities arise and show up, and answers follow. The projection into this 3D reality, I agree with you, has been that projection has created what we perceive as a reality that's based in attack. But our job is to come home to where creation occurs and to not participate in that. Thank you, Francis. I'm so glad you're here.
Get yourself in midstream and just.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. What do I want to experience?
Well,
That's the question midstream, is what do I want to experience? And in that, to come home to peace. I choose peace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We have about 20 minutes before we break and go into meditation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's this?
I'm Claudia.
Claudia.
It's so wonderful to be here, and it's almost magical because I was supposed to be flying back home to California today. And so something Francis said really touched something that I have experienced in the island. And it's feeling existentially unsafe.
Mhm.
knowing how much my nervous system carries
Mhm.
on a day-to-day. The work that I do is very much in alignment with the 7 steps, which is crazy, because I'm just hearing them today, and it was like, wow. And the piece that really, really touched me was the last step, the forgiveness. It just really melted any kind of tension in my nervous system just now. So thank you for that. And I guess just feeling so tender with the opportunity to bring this here, to bring it from my heart into here. Thank you, everyone, and you. So I guess my relationship to this incredible fear that I didn't really had a feeling of when I was in back home in mainland. It makes me wonder if it's mine entirely, or if it's mixed in with ancestral programming in my nervous system, which I believe that there might be something along the lines, or maybe some collective stuff, but it feels so massive, that existential lack of safety. Is that the thread that you were talking about? It feels like it's paralyzing, but I keep going. So it's like my mind is saying, are you crazy? Like what? And just to finish, there's two parts or two things that have helped me just breathe back into that well of everything inside of me. And it's when I've experienced kindness from somebody unconditionally. Thank you. It's been so wonderful. The reason why I'm here is because I've received a gift of kindness. And also when I did art on the beach with crystals and rocks and the sand, and it was just, and then nothing mattered. There was nothing that would touch that well. But the minute I walked out of it, all that agitation and that activation in my nervous system came back up. And I think I said a lot, but
How long have you been on island, Claudia?
5 days.
And it started happening when you arrived here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people find that that's what happens to them when they land on the mainland. That they feel the frequency of the agitation and the polarity that's being expressed there. Have you been on one of the Hawaiian Islands before?
I actually lived part-time in Maui about 10 years ago. And I came back in a way to make peace with the island, with the land.
So when you were here 5 years ago, living here, so it tended to have an adversarial dynamic. Was it in personal relationship or the island itself?
No, it was it was the last bit that we tried in my marriage to make things work, and then we ended up not making it work. This trip was gifted to me. I wouldn't have been able to pay for it. It literally 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know that I was going to be here. So all these synchronicities. And the other piece that I'm just reminding myself right now is that when I landed, I rented a car, I drove, and it was nighttime. And I do have eye health issues as well. My vision is limited. And I realized how much fear I had. I got lost. I mean, I wasn't an unsafe driver, but driving at night in a place that I don't know, it brought up so much fear. Like, yeah.
My sense is that what you're dealing with is the resistance to experience from the past that you identify with as Maui. I'm not suggesting that there's not a true, rather primordial fear there that might have to do with, and I don't know what kind of energy work you do, but the light of awareness onto something like this kind of experience. It's interesting that when you got off the plane, the first thing you had was an experience of disequilibrium, being lost, being in the dark. It's very dark on Maui at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if if I could, or if we could do something together, that would be helpful. What might it be? Do you want to do the 6 steps?
Like right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that seems
Yeah.
amazing.
So let's just use, I'm triggered. That's where you started, and you're sharing with us the triggering of feeling the fear.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's atmospheric nearly. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Um,
the second step is the acknowledgement that this experience is about me.
Totally, yeah.
The third one is what's the feeling?
Extreme fear, it's terror,
Right?
it's I'm lost. Something really bad is gonna happen and I don't know
Mhm.
how to protect myself.
Uh-huh. So using those feeling components, just reassociate some earlier time in your life when you had that experience of that kind of visceral fear impact.
Yeah, and it's funny because I worked on this before. When I was 3, I got lost in a strange country.
Mm.
I was on a family trip. And I got lost and it was very, very scary.
Yeah. When that happened to you and you were in the middle of that place and you were lost and you were in like real fear, you concluded something about yourself. Reassociate what you might have concluded about yourself. I must be.
Well, my needs don't matter because it's why I got lost. I needed to go to the bathroom. Nobody would walk me back to the house where we were staying at. So I thought that I would find my way back and I got lost and even though I think I can take care of myself, that's not gonna be enough.
Right. So that it's like that my needs don't matter. Right. So if we use that as the distortion lens that got put in place right then, that was the conclusion. That is that applies across the board ever since that got installed. Right?
Yeah. And it's incredible because I've worked on this many times, but it keeps coming up. So it's that feeling of my needs don't matter, and it doesn't matter how much I try to fulfill my needs,
Right.
I'm gonna fail.
Right. With that conclusion, you believed it meant something about you. If your needs don't matter, what's true about you? This is a child conclusion that arose.
That I don't matter.
Yeah, I don't matter. Yeah, so when that occurs to us, like I say, and I know you understand this, I'm getting some sense of your background, but it gets repressed, and anything that's repressed gets projected. And so now you have a way of seeing reality. You know, this one of my favorite quotes from Anna Isnen is, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. We don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. We're looking through a conclusion. That lens, I don't matter, then shows up in your world as I don't matter. That is that's the way it operates, and they're so close to us, it's like built in. We actually believe that everybody else has the same experience. We know that they don't, right? Because we know enough to know that. But the belief that I don't matter is so, and it's so much the lens through which you perceive. And this is a perceptual reality. Awareness being who we are aware, and we are aware through the lens of whatever we take to be true about ourselves fundamentally. So when that conclusion was reached, right, and that got installed, now everything that you see will carry either one end of the stick, I don't matter, is the most likely end, or it'll be underpinning, or the other end of like, I need to take care of everything because I'm so important. Right, we'll have that polarity going on. Am I on the fifth or the sixth? The conclusion, I don't matter. The sixth step is we're putting the shining light of awareness onto this whole dynamic that got installed into your subconscious. Now, it seems really unfair, and I have a conversation to have with God whenever I meet her, but it's like whatever we are believing about ourselves is the information into the quantum field. And this was proven. Maybe all of you are interested in this area. I have been for a long time, but the core information of the quantum field was revealed in something called the double slit experiment. They often say that that's when consciousness entered the laboratory. When they found out that if a photon was a light beam, a light wave was observed, it collapsed into materiality, into a photon. When there was no observer, it continued to be a light beam. So when we see something through the slit of I don't matter, it's the information, and then reality configures around it or shows up to prove it, right? That's the power of who we are is so dramatic and so and it has this underpinning of treachery, right? Because it's like we don't know that's what we
Yeah.
I really think I'm a good person, but underneath that I don't matter is like, oh no, she doesn't really believe it. She doesn't. Right? So now the light of forgiveness is shining on this I don't matter conclusion that you probably have been aware of, but that we want to dispel it. We want this light of awareness, your true nature, to be so bright on it that it just can't persist. It's like, it's just being erased like that. It's like, I don't matter, or I don't do matter, right? I just am everything. I am the reality in which all reality arises. I'm the awareness in which all reality arises. When I don't have this distortion lens going on, then the reality that arises is not going to reflect back to me that I don't matter. You can't decide that you do matter in order to get I do matter. We have actually awakening is fundamentally a subtraction. It's letting go of everything that's not true, because what is true cannot be threatened. It's from the Course in Miracles. What's real cannot be threatened. What is unreal does not exist. Therein lies the peace of God. And that's so we can let go of everything, every little distortion thing that we have going on about ourselves, which may show up as being about somebody else, right? Because we project it. But as this gets clear, then reality shifts, right? You create your own reality. Well, this is how it works, right? Thank you so much, Claudia.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So grateful.
Yeah. And so you can sit in that bright light of awareness, shining on that never unavoidable but never true conclusion. Thank you. The freedom is our true nature. Awareness is the freedom for everything to show up in any way. There's no judgment in the field of allowing, which is the quantum field, which is our heart. That's where we are all participating in creating a reality. And it's up to us now for this reality that's been caught in fear and polarity to shift into possibility, connection, love, freedom. It's an inside job, and each one of us makes a difference as we do it. First, we make a difference in our own life, and then there will be a reality that we are informing, and then that reality connects to all of the others that are doing the same work. So. Now we good?
About 4 more minutes. If anybody has any last thing, they want to say what your experience was hearing Polly with the work, or a question before we pause. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question about the fear that seems to be really dominating our world right now. And even though I can identify triggers that I'm on, and I can place them back to where they were, I, in short, as a very young child, I didn't clean up my plate all the time. And so there was a comment that I don't deserve to eat.
Mm.
And then as I got older, there were other things that were said to people that I dated, and that it was literally, you don't need to pay for her when you take her out. Just let her eat a little bit off your plate because she won't finish it. Now, I bypassed that and I was really good. And then there was some physical issues that came up and through some medical trial and error. I'd rather look at holistic things than a bunch of medication. And so there was a lot of different exploring as to allergies, et cetera, which really constricted my diet to, it's easier to say what I couldn't eat than what I could. And getting on the other side of that was good. However, there's this mindset now that I get triggered when there's so much information about, and they're always contradicting. I'll just use, I don't drink coffee, but you know, sometimes coffee's great for you and then a year later it's horrible for you. This is good for you and then it's, so there's so much information out there. And it's been turned in upon myself that I have a phobia right now about eating. And it is, it's really, it's not good. And so how do I turn this so that I'm loving this beautiful body of mine and allowing it to take in the nutrition instead of all the different voices, both holistic and medical, that are saying, there's all saying opposite things. So I'm so overwhelmed with the information that's coming in, and I don't think I'm the only one, because if you turn on anything, which I do not watch, television, I do not watch, I mean, I'm not even on Facebook or anything, there's so many things I'm just not on because it's all so fear oriented. So how do we as a society, and I'll just speak for myself, how do I reshape this so that I am nurturing myself and not hearing that voice that isn't mine, that you don't deserve to eat? And I don't know if that's a question that's okay to ask, but you brought it up, and so it is something that's very, I mean, I need to nourish my body, so.
Right. Well, at the heart of that early wounding with that whole thing that was laid on you, you don't deserve to eat. You don't finish everything on your plate. You don't deserve to eat. Like that put you into a dynamic with food, which is what you're describing now, right? What's true about somebody who doesn't deserve to eat? Just free associate. What might be true about somebody who doesn't even deserve to eat? They must be.
The example that was given to me is that you're just wasting food.
So the implication is you're bad or you're wasteful.
Yes.
Right, yeah, and so that's what got installed for you, that it was in the arena of food, is a very specific direction to go in. But I think that just to give you some direction, it's like you need to start. One of the things, as an aside, the body takes the hit of everything we believe or don't believe about ourselves. The body takes the hit energetically. And so we are often doing what is prescribed from, in quotes, out there, authorities or information or whatever. And and not in touch with what we're wanting. Yeah. And so I think that your awareness is that it doesn't serve you to have all the influx of information that often, like you said, is contradictory. Right. But to started to get in touch with what you want, that would be, if I was working with you ongoingly, that's what we would be doing together. I would want you to decide what you wanted to eat for any meal, any day, whatever. And to just decide what that was from your own sense. Because it's imperative that you start to come home to yourself. In your attention particles from that earliest wounding have been out there as if somebody else should tell you. And you're caught there, and that's scary, because it doesn't have a good outcome, right? So I mean, I know what it feels like in a world where there's been polarity like there has been in this reality. It feels as if I have to get that information, I should pay attention. But you know better, actually. I can feel it in you that you know better than to believe that somebody else knows better than you what you should be doing. And that's the direction, and it can be very gradual. But to start to be on your own side, listen to your own wisdom about what you eat. Yeah. Nobody else knows, by the way. I don't care what they say. You know.
It's, yeah, going to parties and people have things
Yeah.
to eat and just say, politely, no, that's not for me, but people. Sometimes they make special things, even though I've said before, I eat before I come, don't worry about it. And then there is this obligation where I feel, okay, I need to eat that, but it's not good for me.
Right, yeah, to do the work on that earliest wounding, which you concluded, I don't deserve to eat. I think that's what you concluded.
Yeah.
Right, and to see that that's what got installed.
Yeah.
And so you probably had this lifelong food issue. So we to see that that was never true. It was unavoidable for you to believe that because it was imposed on you. And you were at an age, as we all were at some point, where things could be imposed on us. Forgive myself for ever having believed I don't deserve to eat. Yeah. And to sit with that as the light of awareness, the forgiveness just shines on that. So that you get freed up into being your own authority about your body and what you want.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I just want to say one thing before we pause and go into meditation, and you're welcome to stay or go, as you know to do. But Polly, the way she describes her awakening is dropping the fear-based person. I've heard of dropping the fear-based person. I've heard a lot of fear in the room today, and that is the core of the work, is dropping that fear-based person.
That fear-based person was created by that early wounding conclusion. So it's at the heart of the matter, but that's exactly, that's what falls away. And then you're just there as awareness, right? And you're operating through this avatar, through this body-mind unit.
So that's the potential. She's living it. That's potential for all of us as we do the work and meet our early childhood conclusions and see that they're not true, but they're creating our world in a way that doesn't feel good to us. That's the good news. It doesn't feel good. So we know there's something to let go of. All right. So we're going to pause. I'm going to turn off the recording here.